What's poppin'? We got the house history class, man. Happy Corona break to y'all.
You know what it is. Go ahead, like and subscribe to the channel. This is where you finna learn about the history. You feel me? Tune in.
Straight like that.
What's going on, guys? Coach Howells here. Today I'm going to be lecturing on our new unit for world geography. This is going to be the unit of agriculture, which we've been doing some assignments based on agriculture, definitely your vocab, and then a couple of readings. Agriculture is very important. The reading that we had you all do discussing agriculture is, I kind of asked you to look at, what does that mean for today? And a lot of you may not think of agriculture like that. But when it comes to food supply, meat especially, that's very important in the United States. The United States traditionally eats a lot of red meat. So during this pandemic, if you'll notice when talking about the meat shortage in the grocery stores, if you go to the grocery stores, maybe you heard your parents go to the grocery stores and they're looking for red meat, it's not likely that they would be able to find it. And that's because there was kind of a shortage because people were going and hoarding it. Well, that plays a larger role in the United States economy when it comes about agriculture and to obviously your everyday life. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. Again, I'm going to be going straight through your PowerPoint for you. So your first slide, it's going to talk about your origins of agriculture. So really, you got to think. Usually what I teach is I ask you to think, okay, think way, way back, like Egyptians, like before Egyptians, like as far back as your brain can go, maybe the first people on Earth. All right, well, the types of agriculture and the types of way that they were eating is not what was going on right now and today, right? And some of you are obviously, coach, like we get that. Well, so the first thing it talks about here says the invention of agriculture. It says prior to the invention of agriculture, all humans probably obtained food needed through hunting and gathering. And hunting and gathering is just that. So you have these tribal-like societies where you are hunting game, such as usually smaller game, maybe squirrel or whatever, or it may range to larger game such as deer or even buffalo if you're talking about Native Americans. But you are hunting game, that is your meat source, and you are gathering food. And by gathering, I mean you're gathering nuts, you're gathering berries, you're gathering small stuff. And I think it's important to also, I can't mention this type of agriculture without mentioning the way that they ate. So it's not like in today's world where you would sit down and you would have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? 3 square ones, as my mom used to say. But it's not like that. People are only eating for the need of survival. So if they're not hungry, they really don't eat. And sometimes they may be hungry, but they may not have access to food, or they may not have food available to them, or that's when like stocking up in the winter comes and everything like that. So it's important that as you advance your agriculture and as you advance from these small societies to these big societies such as the cities, or just people of more than like 50 or 100 people, your agriculture is going to have to change. And that's just based on the supply and demand. You need more food. You need more agricultural product. And so you're going to have to change, right? You can't just necessarily always rely on hunting and gathering when you have a group of 1,000 people living in your tribe. You're going to have to switch it up. You're going to have to find new avenues, and you're going to have to learn how to plant plants and how to harvest them and when the best time for that is and when the raining season. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that go into this, especially in today's world. A lot of you think there's not a lot of agriculture going on in the United States. That's not necessarily true. There's a small percentage of people doing it, but that's due to our technology. It does not take as many people to be farmers as it did 30, 40 years ago. And that's because, again, we're constantly developing, we're constantly advancing to where now we have machines that do a lot of the work for us. I talk about the John Deere machines that there could be one person driving and there's 4 or 5 others lined up behind it that are following his path based on like coordinates that you put into the system. I mean, that's how advanced we are now. But again, hunting and gathering is going to be where it starts. And it says agriculture is a deliberate modification of the Earth's surface through cultivation of plants and rearing of animals to obtain subsistence or economic gain. Meaning you are growing these foods for the fact of survival, or you are growing these foods to actually make money off of them, okay? And then your next slide gives you examples of hunting and gathering. It talks about fishing, gathering plants. People, like I said, living in groups smaller than 50. The men are going to be the people that are going to be responsible for hunting game. The women in the camp are going to be the people responsible for gathering these small little nuts and berries and all the other stuff that are providing you your other nutritional value if you cannot receive game or if you do not have a successful hunt. Okay, these people are going to travel frequently. A lot of people ask why. And that's because you're following the game, right? So you're not just going to stay in one area and if the game's not there, oh well, tough cookie. No, you're going to follow it. And so they're traveling frequently. So if you ever wonder why, they're not building elaborate houses or whatever, this is why. They're constantly on the go. So you need to know that when you're trying to understand hunting and gathering. And a lot of us do know that because you've been learning this since you were in elementary school. So that's not a real big issue, okay? It says contemporary hunting and gathering. So today there's less than 0.005% of people do this. So it's really, really small. If you would say, okay, well, coach, where does this happen? Well, again, if you're going back to your demographic transition model, if you're going back to your country's overall development, if you're going back to your stages, you're going to see this in, like I said, stage 1 or stage 2. Stage 1 are people that practice hunting and gathering, but you're going to go, well, wait, coach, you said there's no more stage 1 countries left in the world, and that is correct, unless you are in isolated tribal societies, correct? There's no stage 1 countries left, but that does not mean that these tribal societies do not exist around the world. And so when you're looking at stage 2, or maybe the ones like right on the brink that just started stage 2, they're just getting the development of this agricultural technology, this is where you could probably see more contemporary hunting and gathering. And it says they live in isolated locations, right? So you got Australia, South America, the Arctic, the interior of Africa, which is also kind of important to know that these are like extreme conditions that they're living in, right? So it says humanity's only economic activity for at least 90% of our existence. This is due to the low population density. This is as your country or as your tribe or as your group of people starts to grow, obviously there's more mouths to feed. Obviously it's going to be much harder to rely on hunting and gathering when talking about being able to sustain a village or be able to sustain an economy. So that's when you're going to switch to this planting and farming. And then so it says what stage of the demographic transition, and you're going to have to know that's stage 1. But in today's world, this is practiced in these newer stage 2 countries, or these countries that are in stage 2 that still have these isolated groups within it. And then it says, the invention of agriculture. So you can have the Neolithic Revolution, which is the first agricultural revolution. This is a huge, huge, huge part because this is when you have the domestication of plants and animals. And you're like, well, what does that mean? This is when you start like herding animals for like the food and the natural nutrition that comes from them. This is when you start developing ways to plant and harvest certain plants that will provide you food that are seasonal. This happens around 8000 BC. And this is when the world's population is starting to go like this, right? So as the world's population grows, I guess that's a better point, then you're going to need more food. So with that, you're going to have that switch from hunting and gathering to this agricultural revolution. When talking about the differences between commercial and subsistence agriculture, so I've jumped down a little bit here. You need to know 2 things. So first off, when you hear the word commercial agriculture, I want you to think about a TV commercial. Within that TV commercial, they're showing you commercial because they want you to buy these products. So commercial agriculture on your slide, you've got a couple little, you got a chart here. It's on your vocab terms. Commercial agriculture, the purpose of farming is for profit. Okay, your percentage of farmers is going to be small. The use of machinery is going to be extensive. There's a lot of use, which is why your percentage of farms is so small. Your farm size is large because you have these machines available for you to use. And then your relationship to other businesses, you're going to be involved in agribusiness, which means you are farming for the sale of your products off of the farm. The other thing is subsistence. So subsistence is the complete opposite. You're farming for survival. You're on a smaller piece of land. You're in smaller groups. The larger percent of the population is farming, and you don't really have relationships to business because, like I said, you are farming to survive. But that's where we're going to stop today. I will pick back up next time when talking about these different types of farming and different LDCs and MDCs and stuff like that. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to my email. Make sure you're doing your vocab. Make sure you're turning in all your assignments so you can get the best grade possible during this break. Hope you all are staying safe. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.
Thanks for watching History with Howells.
Don't forget to
like,
comment,
and subscribe.